Northeast zone of the country, that there will be a joint caucus meeting with our counterparts in the House of Representatives today by 3 p.m. in meeting room 211, Senate Wing. This is signed by distinguished Senator Danjuma Goje. Distinguished colleagues, let us acknowledge the presence of staff and students of Anglican Comprehensive Secondary School, Kubwa, in Abuja. They are here in the gallery to observe the Senate proceedings. On behalf of the Senate, I wish you all fruitful observation of the proceedings of today. You may be seated. Distinguished colleagues, this is from distinguished Senator Kaka Shehu Lawan, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, SAN. Distinguished Senate President and distinguished Senators, letter of appreciation for the support and solidarity of the entire Senate during the conferment of the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria on May, and the further solidarity in respect of the flood disaster that occurred in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State. I write to express my profound appreciation, heartfelt gratitude to the leadership and the entire Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for the immense support and solidarity shown to me and my constituents during the recent conferment of the rank of Senior Advocates of Nigeria on me, and also the flood disaster that ravaged most parts of Maiduguri recently. The Senate's overwhelming solidarity, both financial and otherwise, during these significant milestones speaks volumes about the unity, respect, and camaraderie and the shared vision that define the Nigerian Senate. At the investiture, so many senators turned up on the 30th of September 2024. This became a source of pride and honor to me and for the people of Borno Central Senatorial District. I'd like to commend and appreciate the leadership of the Senate for a timely visit to Borno State, especially Borno Central Senatorial District, in the wake of the devastating flood disaster that ravaged the entire area. The personal efforts of the President of the Senate, the Deputy President of the Senate, the Chairman and representatives of the Northern and Southern Senators Fora, who visited Borno State to commiserate with the people and to provide tangible financial and material support during these times of need, will forever be appreciated. Your generous donations were able to alleviate the sufferings of the flood victims, exemplified by the Senate's deep concern for the welfare of the Nigerian people, and reinforce the leadership's commitment to promoting unity, peace, and development across the country. Your presence and actions have left indelible marks on the hearts of the people of Borno Central, and I'm confident that this spirit of cooperation and empathy will continue to uplift our nation, Nigeria, as we confront future challenges together. The Senate's show of solidarity and generosity will be remembered as a symbol of unity that uplifts the ideals of the Nigerian Senate as a whole. On behalf of myself, the good people of Borno Central, and all well-wishers, I therefore extend my sincerest gratitude to Mr. President of the Senate, the entire Senate leadership, the entire members of the Senate, for your unwavering support, particularly to me, during my investiture as a Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and your compassion in intervening during the challenging times of the flood disaster in Meduguri. May you continue to provide humanity with service, wishing you wisdom, integrity, and a commitment to the service of our great nation. Thank you once again, and may God bless you all abundantly. This is signed by distinguished Senator Kaka Shehu Lawan, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thank you for appreciating us. We also appreciate you. Any petitions? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. My name is Senator Neda Imaswe, Chairman, Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition. Mr. President, I have two petitions to be laid this morning. The first one is the one of Mr. Kalu Jonah, MD CEO of Performer Projects and Services Limited, against the National Inland Waterways Authority. This dispute is about a contract that has gone sour, and the petitioner feels that for some reason he has been shortchanged and he needs us to look into the matter. Mr. President, the second one is a pathetic one, is that of a 16-year-old who wrote JAM exam, and in course of that exam, the invigilator was trying to be friendly with the 16-year-old, and she rebuffed him. And at the end of the exercise, her result was...
Just take it one more time. That she wrote JAM exam?
Yes, wrote JAM exam.
And the invigilator was...
trying to be personal, to be friendly with her and ask for her...
was trying to...
be friendly with her and ask for her number. She refused, and at the end of that exam, her result was then withheld. When the father inquired into why the result was withheld, they said because she did examination malpractice, which they seriously denied. The father made a phone call to the invigilator, who for some reason got her phone number and started calling her. And the father warned him not to call the daughter again. And from there, everything went haywire, and her result is in jeopardy, and they have refused to release that result. And so the father wants us to look into the matter and see how the daughter, the 16-year-old future, can be put back on track, as this will seriously derail her academic pursuit. These are the two petitions, Mr. President, and with your permission, may I comment later?
You may proceed to lay the petitions.
Petition. Petition.
The two petitions presented by distinguished Senator Neda are hereby referred to the Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions to revert to the Senate in 2 weeks. Yes, distinguished Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Mohammed Ogoshi Onao. I represent Nasarawa South. This petition is from Eltadam about an illegal mining activities perpetrated by Three Crowns Mines Limited, Diamond New Energy Company Limited, and Tianyi and 18th Engineering Company. These companies, this petitioner is saying specialize in operating in other people's mines and taking the benefits without paying compensation to the landowners or paying tax to government. And since he is the rightful owner of the license and these people are working on his license without his permission, he wants the Senate to intervene. With the permission of the Senate President, I would like to lay the petition. Thank you, sir.
You may proceed to lay the petition. The petition by distinguished Senator Onaiwo is referred to two committees, one on solid minerals, and then, of course, Code of Conduct and Public Petitions, to revert to the Senate in 2 weeks.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Yes, point of order. Point of order, distinguished Senator Tony Way.
Dr. Tony Moye, representing the people of Anambra North Senatorial District and from Anambra State. Mr. President, I come under 41 and the other 51 of our standing rules.
Yeah, please read.
Order 41, matter of urgent public importance. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before the commencement of the day sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate and the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of the Senate, the matter shall stand over till the next legislative day. Order 51, notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceedings for which notice is required except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present. These are the two orders I'm coming under, sir.
Well, the distinguished colleague, the Dr. Tony Way had actually mentioned to me about this matter before the commencement of the day's sitting, and as stated in a rule, the matter shall, if agreed to by the floor, be referred to the next day for presentation. Is it the view of the Senate that he be allowed to bring this matter up on the next legislative date? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So you may bring it up by tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, point of order. This side, Agomire, my brother, the chairman, Senate Committee on Judiciary and Legal Matters.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my colleagues, Adeni Adegomre, Ondo Center. Mr. President, I have a matter of urgent public importance, and I bring this pursuant to the provisions of 41(1), which reads that the matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. And also 51, notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceedings for which notice is required, except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general asset of the senators present. I respectfully request, sir, that I be given the assent and consent of Mr. President and the assent of my colleagues.
Distinguished colleagues, the first chamber senior advocate of Nigeria and the chairman of judiciary has made a request. Those in support that he be allowed to proceed say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My appreciation also goes to my colleagues. Mr. President, a matter of urgent public importance relates to the devastating flood that caused widespread destruction in Ondo town, in Ondo West local government area of Ondo Central Senatorial District of Ondo State. Mr. President, I aware with deepest sadness that no fewer than 1,000 homes, 25 schools, 20 worship centers, and over 7,000 people were affected and rendered homeless following the heavy downpour of Friday, 4th October 2024, which lasted for several hours, displaced thousands, and caused significant damage across multiple communities in the ancient city of Ondo, in Ondo Central Senatorial District of Ondo State. Further aware that the flood affected Itanla, Oka, Odojomu, Okeodunwo, Bethlehem, Olori, Shola, Fagun area, Jilanlu area, Newtown, Gani Street, Yaba Police Station, Ademulegun Road, Akure Ondo Expressway, Ife Road communities, amongst others, all in Ondo West local government area of Ondo State. Saddened by the impact of the natural disaster on the lives of the affected communities, especially the most vulnerable, including women, children, and the elderly. Some children were declared missing. Property worth millions of naira were destroyed. Residents of the affected communities now find themselves homeless by the flood disaster as their houses and vehicles in the affected areas were submerged. Further saddened that this pathetic situation has inflicted untold hardship on residents of these areas, particularly children, the elderly, shop owners, and small-scale business owners. Concerned that this situation, in addition to the loss of lives, property, and means of livelihood, has affected negatively the shelter, security, food, Medicare, clean water, electricity, and economic lives of the people, resulting in untold hardship. This has further exacerbated the already challenging economic situation of the affected persons who have suffered personal and commercial losses. Convinced that the utmost concern and purpose of government is the security and welfare of the people, in line with Section 42(2)(b) of the 1979 Constitutional Referral Law, there is therefore the need to act urgently, and therefore the prayers are as follows. 1. Request that the federal government of Nigeria conduct an urgent on-the-spot assessment of the area with a view to finding a lasting solution to the menace of flooding, which frequently occurs in the affected areas. 2. Request the National Emergency Management Agency to immediately mobilize relief materials to the people displaced by this devastating flood in Ondo West local government area of Ondo State. 3. Request the Federal Ministry of Power to ensure that Benin Electricity Distribution Company restores electricity supply to the affected areas. 4. Urge the federal government to develop a swift and robust response to natural disasters of this nature. May I respectfully, sir, move this motion, and I respectfully urge my colleagues to support me on this motion, as it has greatly and adversely affected residents of Ondo West local government, particularly Ondo town. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Kakashewu.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Kaka Shehu Lawan. I represent the good people of Borno Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion ably moved by Senator Adeni Adegbomire, and with the kind permission of Mr. President, I would like to lend my voice. Mr. President, sir, the motion just moved by Senator Adeni Adegbomire is a very straightforward motion. I sympathize with him in particular and the entire people of Ondo Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, having experienced a similar devastation in the last couple of weeks, I know how frustrated he is and the people that were adversely affected. I urge my colleagues to support this and urge the relevant government MDS to swing into action. I so second. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Wadada.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I remain Senator Ahmed Wadada Aliyu Sarkinyak in Kefi, the famous horse rider. This motion is a sympathetic motion, and it is, of course, a motion that requires or needs human face, because this has got to do with lives and properties, and that nobody can be directly held responsible because it is, of course, from nature. So I align myself with the motion in its entirety, and also draw the attention of our colleagues to give the needed support to this motion and the relevant agencies to do what they are required to do by the various laws and the rules of engagement to the various organizations. I so contribute. Thank you.
The Chief Whip of the Senate.
Distinguished senators, distinguished President of the Senate, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. In lending my not heavyweight but lightweight to this motion, I want to seize this opportunity to commend the vision of Mr. President by establishing the Disaster Relief Fund for the purpose of taking care of these unfortunate and unforeseen circumstances that may happen without preparation by our respective tiers of government. The establishment of the relief fund by Mr. President will go a long way in stopping a situation whereby when such disasters occur, governments at various levels will start running helter-skelter from left to right with a view to sourcing funds to alleviate or ameliorate the situation with a view to bringing succor to the life of the affected victims. So I want this Senate to particularly commend the establishment of the Disaster Relief Fund and give all the support by way of appropriation to the fund that is going to be established for the purpose of taking care of such unfortunate scenarios. Thank you.
The Civil Senator on the West.
Thank you, Mr. President. And my fellow colleagues, I remain Senator Patrick C. Ndubueze. Please, this motion spelled out the pathetic story
of our fellow Nigerians in Ondo State, in particular, Ondo West and Ondo Town. From what I've read here, we don't need much debate or discussion on it. Rather, I will urge our colleagues, I'll urge my colleagues that we give total support to this, that our brethren in Ondo State should be adequately taken care of, given support, and rescued from their pathetic situation. As such, I would say that all the prayers put up here, we should stand to adopt them and even urge the federal government to do better. So I submit. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Professor Ani.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Professor Anthony Ani. I represent Ebonyi South. I want to join others in supporting the motion moved by our own very son. All the issues raised there are very vital, and I wholeheartedly support them. This is a natural disaster, and no one has control over it. My heart goes out to the people adversely affected by this disaster, and therefore I support the motion, especially the prayers. I'm of the opinion that all the prayers should be religiously employed. In particular, the last prayer that says, urge the federal government to develop a swift and robust response to natural disasters of this nation. In doing this, it will help to take care of this type of disaster when it happens in any location of this country. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so support.
Distinguished colleagues, let us go straight to the prayers. Request, prayer 1, request that the federal government conduct an urgent on-the-spot assessment of the area with a view to finding a lasting solution to the menace of flooding, which frequently occurs in the affected area. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Amendment, yes, Deputy Senate President.
Mr. President, I align myself with everything in this motion, but this request is purely something that's under the purview of state government. I know that the governor is a wonderful man and the state is being governed by APC. There's nothing wrong when we couch the prayer to say we advise the state government to do that. So I read as follows, that the state government is advised to conduct an urgent on-the-spot assessment of the area with a view to finding a lasting solution to the menace of flooding which frequently occurs in the affected areas. I move.
Any seconder?
Mr. President, I so support the amendment moved by Deputy Senate President.
Distinguished colleagues, an amendment has been made by the Deputy Senate President and seconded by our leader, Ashiru, on prayer 1. Those in support of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we refresh the amendment, we refresh the prayer to read, request the Ondo State government to conduct an urgent on-the-spot assessment of the area with a view to finding lasting solution to the menace of flooding, which frequently occurs in the affected areas. Those in support of prayer 1 as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, request the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately mobilize relief materials to the people displaced by this devastating flood in Ondo West local government area in Ondo State. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, request the Federal Ministry of Power to ensure that Benin Electricity Distribution Company, BEDC, restores electricity supply to the affected areas. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4, urge the federal government to develop a swift and robust response to natural disasters of this nature. Those in support of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me thank our distinguished brother, distinguished Senator Adeniyi Adegbomire, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for bringing this to the fore. And pray that those who have been displaced, over 7,000 people displaced from their homes, and so many communities affected, will find succor, and that there will prompt adherence and compliance with the resolutions of the Senate so passed. Our hearts go out to them, and we condole with those who probably lost their lives in the disaster. The point of order, Senator Bino Siari.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Bino Siaro, Adama South. I come under Order 42, personal explanation. With your kind permission, I would like to read.
Yes.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, this has to do with the passing on of a distinguished senator, Senator Dr. Jonathan Salas Zingina. I'd like your permission to make that explanation here. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Bino Siaro, by the indulgence of the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, you've heard him. Those in support that he be allowed to proceed with the personal explanation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You may proceed.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, again, I'm Dino Siaro, Adama South. This is a notification of the passing of distinguished Senator Jonathan Salas Zingina,
Yes.
born 1st August 1954 and passed on 2nd October 2024. It is with deep sorrow that I rise to inform the President of the Senate and my distinguished colleagues of the passing of Senator Dr. Jonathan Salas Zingina, a member of this hallowed chamber who served as a representative of the good people of my senatorial district, Adama South, of Adama State, for 2 terms from May 1999 to June 2007. He was elected under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Senator Zingina was born on 1st August 1954 in Falu, Goyuk, local government area of Adama State, and passed on here in Abuja on 2nd October 2024 after a brief illness. While in the Senate,
Distinguished Senator Binosier, Senator Swingina really is almost like a household name, and he was a leader in this chamber. I don't know whether, if you come under personal explanation, most of those who serve with him here would not have the opportunity to eulogize him or to say anything about him. I would suggest that maybe you withdraw and come tomorrow with a proper motion to enable our colleagues to say something about him. But if you go on with personal explanation, we will rule, and that will be the end. What do you think?
President, thank you very much. I'm well advised. I would like to now come under Order 41 to enable me bring this motion tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, distinguished Senator Binodiaro has opted to bring a formal motion on the demise of our colleague, distinguished Senator Swingina. Those who support that he be allowed to proceed on the next legislative date, say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. I thank you nevertheless. Yes, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleague, the first business of the day is presentation of the House bill standing in the name on Chartered Institute of Human Capital Development of Nigeria, Bill 2024 HB 1261. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Chartered Institute of Human Capital Development of Nigeria Bill 2024, HB 1261, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Chartered Institute of Human Capital Development of Nigeria Bill 2024, HB 1261, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the second business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Simon Bako-Lalong on the National Council for Traditional Rulers Establishment Bill 2024 SB 548. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Council for Traditional Rulers Establishment Bill 2024, SB 548, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, National Council for Traditional Rulers Establishment Bill 2024, SB 546, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the third business of the day is presentation of bill standing in the name of Senator Oluwole Fashiyu Sire of Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, Ado Ekiti, Establishment Bill 2024 SB 581. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, Ado Ekiti, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 581, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, Ado Ekiti, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 581, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, the fourth business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Fadamsi Adenibe Francis on Federal Orthopedic Hospital Act Amendment Bill 2024
SB 582. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Orthopedic Hospitals Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 582, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Orthopedic Hospitals Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 582, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The Senate President, the fifth business of the day is presentation of bill standing in the name of Senator Adebule Idayat Oluranti on Land Use Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 587. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Land Use Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 587, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Land Use Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 587, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of bills standing in the name of Senator Kalu Oji Uzo on Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 588. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 588, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2024, SB 588, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, the first order of the day is the second reading of a bill standing in my name and Senator Uzinazo Osita on the Investment and Security Bill 2023 SB 128. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 4th October 2023. Mr. President, with your permission, I move that the bill be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Izonaso, you are a co-sponsor. It's not an executive bill.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Osita Esudanso. I represent Imo West. I rise to lead the debate on a bill for an act to repeal the Investment and Security Act 2007 and enact the Investment and Securities Bill 2024, and to establish the Security and Exchange Commission as the apex regulatory authority for the Nigerian capital market, as well as regulations of the market to ensure capital formation, the protection of investors, maintain fair, efficient, transparent market, and reduction of systematic risk, and for related matters. I so move, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I respectfully rise to lead the debate on the general principle of the Investment and Securities Bill 2024. The bill seeks to repeal the Investment and Security Act 2007 and enact the Investment and Security Act 2024, and to establish the Securities and Exchange Commission as the apex regulatory authority for Nigerian capital market, as well as regulation of the market to ensure capital formation and protection of investors, maintenance of fair, efficient, and transparent market, and reduction of systemic risk. The bill was read for the first time on Wednesday, 4th October 2023. The main objective of the bill, among others, is to enact a legislation that align with global dynamics as they relate to the regulation of capital market through provisions of innovative regulatory framework that seeks to: one, protect the integrity of the security market against all forms of market abuse and insider dealings; two, prevent unauthorized, illegal, unlawful, fraudulent, and unfair trade practices relating to securities and investment; c, ensure the development of capital market and facilitate capital formation for economic development; d, contribute to the reduction of systemic risk and promote financial stability; e, protect public interest and maintenance of fair, efficient, and transparent market; and finally, register and regulate securities depository companies, clearing and settlement companies, custodians of assets and securities, credit rating agencies, and such other agencies and intermediaries, etc. The bill is well structured, and each part dealing with specific issues relating to registration, regulation of exchanges and financial markets, infrastructure, management of systemic risk, regulation of new businesses, mergers, takeovers, and corporate restructuring, stiffer sanctions, collective investment schemes, commodity ecosystems, investors protection fund, commodity exchange and warehouse receipt, and alternative trading systems, etc. This is with a view to consolidating on the efficiency and viability of the sector. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the overriding purpose of this proposed legislation is to strengthen the capacity of the Commission for the effective performance of its statutory mandate, as well as reposition this vital sector of our economy for national economic transformation. In conclusion, Mr. President, it is opposite to reiterate that the passage of this bill will form part of the new renewed hope agenda of the current administration, geared towards economic diversification initiatives aimed at exploiting all available opportunities for national development. On this note, I humbly request my distinguished colleagues to support the expeditious passage of this bill. Thank you for your kind attention.
Distinguished Senator Issa Jibrin, this has a lot to do with accounting.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, very distinguished colleagues, I am Issa Jibrin, representing the very good people of Kogi East. Your Excellency, first I want to thank the Chairman of the Committee on Capital Market for bringing this issue to the fore. We've been having problems in terms of definite assignments that the Securities and Exchange Commission is supposed to carry out, okay, to ensure that the Nigerian capital market functions effectively. There has been overlaps For example, the management of unclaimed dividends is supposed to be the function of the Securities and Exchange Commission. But I understand that the Central Bank of Nigeria believes that it is properly placed to handle that assignment. I've just given an example. So this amendment is very important to ensure that the Securities and Exchange Commission does its job in line with the global best practice. These functions are specific to Securities and Exchange Commission. They have the manpower, they have the capacity to handle. But when you allow other regulatory authorities to encroach on their territory, there are problems of regulation. There are problems of who should be held responsible for what. So I believe that this bill is timely, and that at the end of the day, it will make the Securities and Exchange Commission to function effectively in line with the global best practice. I so submit. Thank you, Excellency.
Yes, distinguished Senator Hosanna. Your Honor? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is distinguished Senator Anthony Siakoyaro, representing the good people of Gombe South. Mr. President, I stand to lend my voice to this debate to say that it is very timely and well structured. Thank you, Chairman, Committee on Capital Markets. Securities and Exchange Commission, they have specific functions and roles to play. This bill brings right square pegs in the square holes. That's what this bill stands to do. Not only that, the most cherished $1 trillion GDP that we are targeting, this is the engine room in achieving that objective. Securities and Exchange Commission all over the world are known as catalysts into building and initiating investments, building them, guiding them, and regulating. So this bill seeks to do that. And in updating this bill also, so many financial instruments are new, have come into place, such that the cryptocurrencies and the rest. This bill will try to capture the latest and be up to date in terms of regulating those aspects that are coming anew in our economy. Streamlining this will also curtail interagency conflicts that we usually see, and so that efforts will be geared towards the appropriate direction with the appropriate people. So, Mr. President, I support this bill wholeheartedly. I urge my colleagues to do that with the speed of light. Let me borrow from Chief Whip, that we get this done so that we achieve our $1 trillion economy in no time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Distinguished Senator Alero.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Mohammed Adamu Alero. I rise to give my support to this very important bill sponsored by distinguished Senator Osita, Chairman of the Capital Market. Yes. This bill, Mr. President, is very timely in the sense that the capital market, as presently constituted, need to be reorganized because of some fraudulent practices that are happening in the capital market. He has already mentioned insider abuse, which is very prevalent. And this has caused the lack of confidence of investors into the capital market. With what is being proposed, it will certainly restore investor confidence. Secondly, Mr. President, the foreign direct investment that is badly needed in Nigeria will be stimulated with
this amendment that is being proposed. Investors coming from abroad, if they see that their money is safe, they will certainly come and invest. But if their money is not safe, they will shy away from capital market. So for that reason, this bill should be supported by everybody. And it's a way of expanding our economy like what the previous speaker has mentioned. We want a $1 trillion economy. There is no way we can have $1 trillion economy if we don't have foreign direct investment, if we don't have manufacturing sector being expanded in Nigeria. And the only way to do it is to promote massive production. And massive production can only come from massive investment in the capital market, as well as companies and other related commercial ventures. So this bill is so important, and it should be supported by everybody. And the transparency that will be brought into the capital market will be so apparent that everybody will rush and start investing. So I wholeheartedly support this very important bill, and I urge all my colleagues to do the same. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Senator Wadada.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am Senator Ahmed Wadada Aliyu, distinguished colleagues. I represent Nasarawa West Senatorial District. Talking about capital market, the roles that capital market plays in economic growth and development all over the world cannot be overemphasized. And Securities and Exchange Commission here as the apex regulator of the capital market. Let me say this. Regulation is about enforcement and compliance. A regulator must be enveloped by these two things: enforcement and compliance. You enforce the law and ensure that the law is being complied to. So if we have a viral, strong, well, lawfully equipped regulator, then the system will be better. I'm talking about $1 trillion economy, foreign direct investment. Yes, of course. This amendment will strengthen the regulator. But let me, before talking about foreign direct investment, investors will not come just because your country is beautiful. No, investors will come when they see the viability of your jurisdiction. And the viability of your jurisdiction should and must have to do with how effective the regulatory body of that, the issue at stake is concerned. The amendment will not only encourage the foreign direct investment, but it will as well see to the fullest utilization of some veritable instruments that are new in the market. Within our jurisdiction today, we have the REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust Scheme. We have mortgage-backed securities. These are all new instruments introduced into the market, and they are not well known or well understood by our citizens. And nobody comes to grow you. You grow yourself first before one comes to add to it. So there is every need for Securities and Exchange Commission as the apex regulator of the market, and the primary, secondary regulator, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the two should do all they can to really send out that knowledge that information, that, that have got to do with these new instruments introduced into the market, so that Nigerians will understand better what these instruments are, as to what they can do, and for better patronage or patronization of the market. I so contribute, Mr. President.
Yes, this is Senator Abiru.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Adetokunbo Abiru, and I represent Lagos East. I also would like to lend my voice to the second reading of the bill to repeal the Investment and Securities Act 2007. And for all of the right reasons that my colleagues too have advanced, I would just like to add that, as we all know, the Investment and Securities Act guides the operations of the capital market. And of course, the capital market is the market for both medium and long-term funding that is typically sustainable for development. For an environment like ours, we are in a time when we have very high interest rates and, of course, short-term funding provided by most banks. Now, enhancing the capacity of the capital market, I believe very strongly, will help us, attract the stable funding that is required in developing most economies. So this bill will support both long-term funding, which are very, very stable, medium-term funding that are also equally stable and are also most desirable for the kind of economy that we are growing and that we also expect. So, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I think that this bill will not only bring about the discipline around and the evolution, the improvement in this particular market, it will also enhance the capacity of the regulator, because I also understand, apart from what the chairman said, this is also an attempt to strengthen the capacity of the regulator, which is the stock exchange. And of course, I've also heard of the various types of securities that can be issued. They mentioned the commodity exchange and other financial instruments. So on my part too, I also lend my support to the second reading of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. Thank you.
Is there anybody that is opposed to this bill being read a second time? No. So let me thank my distinguished colleagues for their contributions, and particularly thank the mover of the motion, the distinguished Senator Yusunaso. And one of the things that interests me is what you pointed out here: reduction of systemic risk. Reduction of systemic risk. I think a lot of people will be happy to infuse funds into the capital market when they know that a lot of the risk has been minimized or reduced to the barest minimum. So this is very good. So I thank everybody, because there's really nobody that says that a bill should not proceed to the second level. So let me put the question. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Investment and Securities Act 2007, Act number 29, 2007, and enact the Investments and Securities Bill 2024, and to establish the Securities and Exchange Commission as the apex regulatory authority for the Nigerian capital market, as well as regulation of the market to ensure capital formation, the protection of investors, maintain fair, efficient, and transparent markets, and the reduction of systemic risks, and for related matters 2024, SB 128, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Investment and Securities Act 2007, Act number 29 of 2007, and enact the Investments and Securities Bill 2024, and to establish the Securities and Exchange Commission as the apex regulatory authority for the Nigerian capital market, as well as regulation of the market to ensure capital formation, the protection of investors, maintain fair, efficient, and transparent market, and reduction of systemic risk, and for related matters thereto. 2024. Second reading taken. The bill is now referred to the Committee on Capital Market and to report back to the Senate in 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, the second order of the day is the second reading of Federal University of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State, Establishment Bill 2024 SB 436. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 15 May 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Adebomire Adeniyi Ayodele to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Yes, distinguished Senator Adebomire.
Thank you, Mr. President. My colleagues, Adeniyi Adebomire, Ondo Central, I stand before you respectfully to lead the debate on the Federal University of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State Establishment Bill 2024, SB 436. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the general principles relating to the establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State, through the instrumentality of the Federal University of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State Establishment Bill 2024, SB 436. The bill seeks to upgrade the Federal College of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State, to a full-fledged Federal University of Agriculture. This bill was read for the first time on the floor of the Senate on Wednesday, the 15th day of May 2024. The Federal College of Agriculture, Akure, was established on the 10th day of January 1957 and occupies a total land space of approximately 1,061.4 acres. There are presently 6 Federal Universities of Agriculture in Nigeria, namely 1, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Ogun State, established on the 1st day of January 1988. Joseph Siswan Taka University, Makurdi, formerly Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, Benue State, established on the 1st day of January 1988, but renamed on the 14th day of July 2019. It presently occupies the former premises of the Federal College of Agriculture, Makurdi. Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umodike, Abia State, established on the 13th day of November 1992. It presently occupies the former premises of the Federal College of Agriculture, Umedike. The Federal College of Agriculture has now been relocated to Ishagu, Ebonyi State. Federal University of Agriculture, Mubi, Adamawa State, which was recently established. Federal University of Agriculture, Zuru, Kebbi State, was established in September 2020. Interestingly, this university was also a college of agriculture, and the bill to upgrade it to a University of Agriculture, Zuru, Kebbi, was sponsored by His Excellency, Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barrow Jibril, and passed on the 21st day of April 2019. Lastly, Federal University of Agriculture, Bazambiri, Bayelsa State, established in 2023. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I have found it necessary to set out the names and years of establishment of the 6 universities of agriculture in Nigeria in order to show that given our challenges in food production and the quest to improve sale, Nigeria does not have enough Federal University of Agriculture to train and educate persons in the knowledge required to ensure that Nigeria is self-sufficient in food production. Nigeria still needs to train several persons to personnel in the modern methods of food production. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, may I also state that a similar bill was considered by the Ninth Senate and went through first and second readings. Unfortunately, the process was not completed before the night Senate came to an end. Mr. President, I respectfully appeal to you and my distinguished colleagues that it is in the best interest of Nigeria that the Federal University of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State, be established. The Senate is respectfully urged to, in conformity with its established tradition, vote for the second reading of this bill, same having been positively considered by the Ninth Senate. However, I still find it necessary to speak on the objectives of the bill. The bill seeks in the main to upgrade the Federal College of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State, to a University of Agriculture. Section 2 of the proposed bill sets out the objectives of the proposed university, and I respectfully invite my distinguished colleagues to study same, which is attached to, is the last sheet on the papers you have with you, sir. The provisions of the bill are geared towards ensuring the realization of the objectives of the bill as stated in Section 2. The Federal College of Agriculture already has all of its facilities necessary for the establishment of the university. It is interesting to note that the Michael Opera University of Agriculture presently occupies a previous campus of the Federal University of Agriculture, Imodeke, which upon establishment of the Michael Opera University of Agriculture was located to Ishago and renamed Federal College of Agriculture, Ishago. The Joseph Taka University, Makurdi, occupies the former premises of the Federal College of Agriculture, Makurdi, and the Federal University of Zulu occupies the former premises of the College of Agriculture. The Federal College of Agriculture, Akure, has the same facilities as the then Federal Colleges of Agriculture, which are mentioned in the preceding paragraph. This bill does not propose the creation of another Federal College of Agriculture to be established upon the upgrade of the present Federal College of Agriculture into a university. The intended Federal University of Agriculture shall be located on the present premises of the Federal College of Agriculture, Akure, with no replacement College of Agriculture. This has been deliberately proposed given the present economic realities of Nigeria. The establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State, would therefore cost next to nothing to establish. Precedents already exist in the establishment of the above-mentioned University of Agriculture. The establishment of the University of Agriculture in Akure will go a long way in ensuring that Nigeria continues to ensure that diverse opportunities are provided for its citizens who are interested in boosting the country's food production. It would enable such citizens to learn the most advanced methods of improving food production. May I therefore respectfully appeal to all my distinguished colleagues of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to support the second reading of this very important bill. I so move. I am most grateful, sir. Thank you, sir.
Dismissed Senator Idris Agba.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Jide Ikinshagba, representing the good people of Ondo North Senatorial District. I rise to strongly support this bill sponsored by my colleague, Senator Adeniyi Ayodele Adegomile, SAN. This bill is very hard for this moment because Nigeria is in the era of moving from a monolithic economy to another set of economy that can offer us a substitute to oil and gas. Agriculture is very, very important. In view of this bill is addressing most important thing about agriculture on how we can strengthen agriculture to enhance food production. Because without food, there is no human being existence. You need food to move around. And outside this university, by its establishment, will offer people job opportunity. We give people knowledge. And it will take people out of the streets. On this note, I strongly believe also that this is an imperishable legacy that will come to Ondo State by putting that university there or upgrading it. On this note, I want to support strongly that Ondo State will embrace this establishment of this university. I therefore
put my weight behind this bill for it to pass through the second reading. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
The SARS, under Secretary of State.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Shoaib Afolabi Salisu. I represent the good people of Ogun Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, this bill should enjoy the overwhelming support of all of us. We will recollect that there was a time in this country that the economy of the northern part of the country was based on granite pyramid. In the southwest, we had cocoa that was used to fund the establishment of such institutions as the then University of Ife, now called Obafemi Awolowo University. The eastern part of our country was known for palm oil. All of this was as a result of the focus that was put on agriculture. More than any other time, this is the time our country needs to turn back into agriculture, but not the subsistence farming that we are used to. And therefore, the universities of agriculture, if I have my way, every state must have a university of agriculture in order to get the very full benefit of the value chain that the agriculture provides in terms of employment for our teeming youth, in terms of earning foreign exchange, and of course, to boost the production capability of our economy. This particular school that we seek to upgrade by this bill, the University of Agriculture the School of Agriculture was established in 1957, and this school played a very pivotal role in the agricultural booming that was experienced in the southwest. Therefore, I want to fully support this bill to transform this College of Agriculture into a full-fledged Federal University of Agriculture. And I say this from experience. I am from Ogun Central. We are host of Federal University of Agriculture at Abeokuta. Between the time it was established in 1988 and now, this university has become the #1 Federal University of Agriculture in Africa and #7 in the world. I have no doubt that it will support the transformation of the College of Agriculture in Odo to a Federal University of Agriculture. It will also perform the same feat, creating an ecosystem for our farmers, for our teeming youth, and for our economy. I therefore wholeheartedly support the bill, and I also urge my colleagues to so support that the College of Agriculture in Ondo should be turned into a full-fledged Federal University of Agriculture in order to get the full benefit. I so support, Mr. President.
Yes, this is the Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished Senators, my name is Humanitarian Munguno. I support the second reading of this bill on the ground that what is good for the goose is good for the gander. The sponsor of this bill in his submissions alluded to the fact that similar institutions in other parts of the country have metamorphosed into a full-fledged Federal University of Agriculture. So what happened in other federal colleges of agriculture should mutatis mutandis apply to the transformation or metamorphosis of the Federal College of Agriculture Akure into a full-fledged Federal University of Agriculture. And also against the backdrop of the fact that we are preaching the gospel of diversification of our economy away from oil to agriculture. That is one way of transforming the Nigerian economy from being a monolithic economy that depends on oil to other sources of revenue, which is agriculture. Also, the prospect of employment for our teeming unemployed youths, the prospect of massive food production to attain food security, and even export out in order to gain much needed revenue. So the advantages of establishing universities of agriculture are faceted, to which I invite my colleagues to support the second reading of this bill with the spirit of light. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, let me thank all those who have made contributions on this all-important bill, because no country can boast of greatness unless that country is self-sufficient in food production. So already the mantra of this administration, the renewed whole agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is that we should consume what we produce and produce what we consume, particularly in the agricultural sector. And I think this is another step towards that. So I thank you all for supporting this. So I put the question. Those in support that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish Federal University of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters 2024, SB 436, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Agriculture, Akure, Ondo State, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and other related matters. Second reading taken. This bill is now referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund to report back to the Senate in 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, I will want to start by seeking your permission that the third order of the day and the fourth order be read together because they belong to the same committee. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion that this bill be read second time. So second.
Distinguished colleagues, the leader has moved that the third and fourth orders of the day be joined and read together. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The leader of the Senate. You may proceed.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, the third order of the day is presentation and consideration of report of Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 345. And the fourth order of the day is presentation and consideration of the report of Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund on Federal University of Applied Sciences, Machok, Kaduna State, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 13. The senators will recall that this bill was referred to committee on Thursday, 29th February 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Mohamed Danduze Muntari, Chairman of Committee, to move the motion for the presentation and consideration of the two bills.
Senator Danduze for the presentation of the two reports.
Thank you, Mr. President, my respected colleague. I remain Senator Danduze Muntari Mohamed, representing Katsina South. Mr. President, the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, Ogun State Establishment Bill 2024 SB 13 as so moved. And the second report is the report on the Committee on Tertiary Institutions on the Federal University of Applied Science Manchok Establishment Bill 2024 SB 13, that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the committee on the Federal University of Applied Science Manchok Establishment Bill 2024 SB 13. I so move, Mr. President.
Dismissed Senator Tony Way.
Representing the good people of Anambra North, I hereby second the motion for the consideration of Report 1 and Report 2 as it concerns Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, Ogun State, and Federal University of Applied Science, Mashok, in Katsina State, as moved by my chairman, Senator Mohammed Danduse Mutare, as a second.
Dismissed colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those who are in support of the motion that the two reports be considered, say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Danduse, you may wish to read the reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. My respected colleagues, the report on the Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, to make a comprehensive provision for its due management and administration was brought to the plenary on the 29th February 2024, debated on the general principles. After extensive deliberations, the bill was read for the second time and referred to the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Form for further legislative action via Senate Order of Referral date Thursday 29th February 2024 and to report back with its recommendation. The objective of the bill is to provide for the upgrading of Federal Polytechnic Ilaro to a full-fledged Federal University of Technology by providing institutional requirement for running a world-class Federal University of Technology with a view to spread educational infrastructure need of Nigeria while balancing access to education among diverse and multicultural demographics in the country to the context and relative equilibrium, thereby closing up the gap in technology need and know-how required to complete favorably with the rest of the world.
So, distinguished colleagues, just go straight into your observations and conclusions.
The legislative summary, the highlight of the Mr. President, distinguished colleague, at this juncture, I wish to inform you that the inference drawn by the committee, the observation of the committee from the view expressed by the stakeholders in the public hearing, subsequent analysis of the both oral and written presentation of memorandum, the stakeholders at the public hearing unanimously subscribed to the content of the draft bill and supported the passage of the bill by the National Assembly. The upgrade of Federal Polytechnic Ilaro to a full-fledged Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, Ogun State. Also, the upgrade will serve as a boost in the acquisition of science and technology. The knowledge and skills that will be required by the graduate from the envisaged upgrade of Federal Polytechnic. Recommendation: the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund, to which the bill was referred, have carefully considered, same hereby, that the Senate do consider and pass the bill for upgrade of the Federal Polytechnic Ilaro, Ogun State, to make a comprehensive provision for its due management and administration and other matters connected therewith 2024 as recommended. Thank you, Mr. President, my respected colleagues, for this very important bill. Can I go forward? Okay.
Any observations?
Thank you, Mr. President. Since it's a consolidation,
it's okay. Your argument has covered both.
Okay.
Any observation? None. Okay. The leader of the Senate, you may wish to move that we resolve into committee of the whole to consider the reports.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, I stand to move that the Senate resolve into committee of whole to consider the report.
The minority leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion that the Senate resolves into the committee of the whole to consider the report. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We now resolve in the committee of the whole to consider the two reports.
First one, the second.
So where do we have distinguished colleagues, an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters 2024, SB 84. Clause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those in support of clauses 1 to 5 as written say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those in support of clauses 6 to 10 as provided herein say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 11 to 15. Those in support of clause 11 to 15 are stated hearing. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 16 to 30. Those in support of clauses 16 to 30 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Specifically on page 28, clause 30 states the short title. Those in support of the short title say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum is on page 49. Those in support of explanatory memorandum as stated in page 49 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the second report from the tertiary institutions in Chevron is a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Applied Sciences, MACHOC, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 13. Clause 1 says we should that we should substitute the word MACHOC in line 1 with the word cashier wherever it appears in the bill, made at the instance of the sponsor and the outcome of the public hearing. So where you have MACHOC, you substitute to cashier. Those in support of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 2. Clause 3. Clause 4. Clause 5 as written in the original bill. Those in support of clauses 2 to 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 6 to 10. Those in support of clauses 6 to 10 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 11 to 20. Those in support of clauses 11 to 20 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 21, retiring age of academic staff. No? Clause 21. A law requiring a person to retire from the public service after 35 years or 60 years thereabout, whichever comes first, shall not apply to an academic staff of the university. Those in support of clause 21 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 22. To clause 29. Those in support of 22 to 29 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 30. A person who has a cause of action against the university shall give the university 3 months' notice in writing of intention to commence the action, disclosing the cause of action, and to serve the processes to the principal office of the university. Commence the legal action within 2 years from the date of the cause of action, or from the date that the cause of action arises. Those in support of clause 30 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 31. Amendment of this bill. Any person employed by or serving in Federal University of Applied Sciences, Matchup, please change it to cashier. Kaduna State shall be deemed to have been employed or serving in the university. So wherever you see Matchup, you substitute it with cashier as earlier agreed. So clause 31, those in support of clause 31 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Interpretation clause 32, as written in the bill. Those in support of interpretation clause 30, in clause 32 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Short title. Those in support of the short title as stated in clause 33 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of the schedules in clauses on page 20, actually, Schedule 1 to 3. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum. Please go to page 49. Explanatory memorandum is actually on page 38. Those in support of the explanatory memorandum say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, those in support that the long title form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, may I request that we revert back to plenary for Mr. Senate President to report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chair report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that the chair and the entire Senate should revert to plenary for a progress report. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we revert to plenary for the chair to report progress.
I'm going to screen this.
Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TEP Fund on the Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, Ogun State Establishment Bill 2024 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clauses 1 to 28 as recommended. Interpretation clause 29 as recommended. Short title clause 30 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole further considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TEP Fund on the Federal University of Applied Sciences CASHIA Establishment Bill 2024 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clauses 1 to 31 as recommended. Interpretation clause 32 as recommended. Short title clause 33 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, the fourth order of the day is a motion standing in the name of Senator Amos Yohana.
Now you may wish to move a motion that the two bills be now read a third time.
Your Excellency, I move a motion that the two bills on Federal University be read a second time. Two of them. A third time.
Senator Dingy said you are on tutorials. I overheard you. So, Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the bills be read a third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the two reports on the two bills considered by these hallowed chambers, a motion has been moved by the leader and seconded by the minority leader. The two bills now be read a third time. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, Ogun State, and for other matters connected therewith 2024, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Applied Sciences, Kachia, Kaduna State, and for other matters connected therewith 2024, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, Ogun State, and for other matters connected there with 2024. Third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Technology, Ilaro, Ogun State, and for other matters connected there with 2024. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Applied Sciences, Kashia, Kaduna State, and for other matters connected there with third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Applied Sciences, Kashia, Kaduna State, and for other matters connected there with third reading taken and passed. Let me thank all my colleagues for their contributions to the two bills now passed into possible acts of parliament after Mr. President's assent. and all your contributions, which were in national interest. It is our view that the universities to establish University of Applied Sciences and the University of Agriculture will add, not just adding to knowledge, but will add to our ability to feed ourselves in this nation and promote the agricultural agenda of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. I'm very confident that when these institutions take off, that they will add to knowledge, add to increase food production, and also assist the nation to move forward from where it is. So I thank all of you for your contributions. And I also wish the various states that now have the universities well and progress for the rest of the nation. University is universal. And so people come from all parts of the world to get knowledge in those two institutions. So I thank all of you. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, the fifth order of the day is the motion standing in the name of Senator Amos Yohana for an urgent need for intervention in humanitarian crisis caused by flooding in Adamawa North Senatorial District. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Amos Yohana to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Amos Yohana, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I am Amos Yohana. I represent Adamawa North. I rise to move a motion on the urgent need for intervention in the humanitarian crisis caused by the flooding in Adamawa North Senatorial District. The Senate notes that there was a massive flooding that caused catastrophic destruction in the 5 local governments of Adamawa North Senatorial District, namely Madagali, Maiha, Michika, Mubi North, Mubi South. Further notes that hundreds of houses and farmlands were destroyed. The floods also washed away multiple culverts and bridges in Shua, Madagali local government, Jigalambu, Wotu, Kuzum in Michika local government area, and Buladega Bridge along Mubi, Maiha local government. More tragically is the fact that some lives were lost. Aware that the flooding situation has overwhelmed local capacities and left thousands of people in dire need of urgent humanitarian assistance in Krichinga, Shua, Gulag, Zuragu, and other areas of Michika local government, Mayobani Mubi North local government, Concord in Maiha local government, including shelter, food, medical care, and clean water. And disturbed that this worsens the already difficult economic and security situation affecting the people and will relapse in the internally displaced persons tragedy as thousands of displaced people are currently taking refuge in schools. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to direct the National Emergency Management Agency to, as a matter of urgent priority, reach out to the affected communities and provide relief materials to the victims. 2, direct the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency to intervene in the rehabilitation of Shua, Jigalambu, and Buladega bridges. And 3, mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure that NEMA and FAMA carry out the Senate's resolution. Thank you so much, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. I so move.
Dr. Kyla.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Dr. Samaila Depo Kaila, representing Bauchi North. I stand to support and second this very important motion. And in seconding, I want to add my little comment, if you permit me, Waskat. It is known by everybody that this year, the northeastern part of Nigeria has witnessed more than its share of rain and floodings. We've seen what happened in Maiduguri, we've seen what happened in Adamawa and in Bauchi. In Bauchi, my constituency, we have 2 communities or even 3 that are completely inundated in water up to today. I just want to thank Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for his prompt action, because just 2 or 3 days ago, I saw Interministerial Committee on Flooding, and I want to commend them for what they are doing and for the good response. However, as it is always said, flooding is better than drought. Your Excellency, NEMA and the response agencies need to do more, because practically there is no presence of NEMA in my constituency. And I believe the senator that brought this motion to has made it clear. So what I will only add is more effort should be put towards getting these people back into their houses and alleviating their sufferings. And I believe this government will fully respond, and we thank her for all those things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Kaila. I do know that you come from a PDP-controlled state of Bauchi, but you know, after election, there is no party. So I want to thank you for commending Mr. President for his prompt action in coming to the rescue of your people, ameliorating their sufferings, and ensuring that the plight of the people is addressed. I assure you that further actions will be taken by this government of compassion and government of concern of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yes, distinguished Senator Nenge.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central, Bauchi State. Mr. President, let me join you and Kaila in thanking my brother, Reverend Amos Johanna, for bringing forth to bear the problem of his people. But let me say, Mr. President, for all intent and purposes, climate change is not a hoax. Climate change, Mr. President, is a reality. And if you recall what happened last year, climate change took over almost 13 states of the Federation. Today, we are counting up to 25 states that were ravaged by climate change. It is also imperative to further mention, even the developed countries are not immune to this climate change. As we are sitting here, you speak about North Carolina, you speak about Miami, you speak about Florida, you speak about Netherlands, you speak about Thailand, North Korea, they are all in plots. So what requires at this moment in time is not to be thinking of these specific palliatives, is to come up with a Marshall Plan, probably led by you, Mr. President. You recall last year, 13 states, today 25 states, the anticipation that by 2029, 2030, the entire country will implode. So what we need to do as a people with the right leadership and ably led by you, sir, is to come up with a Marshall Plan of action so that next year by this time, we won't be speaking about specific palliatives to states. We must have been readily available to meet this flood because nothing whatsoever will curtail this flood because it's a scientific reality. What is happening in the Western atmosphere is changing. The temperature, the rain is changing. There will be droughts there in the next 2, 3, 4 years, and then there will be a lot of rain. They have prepared over several decades for this flood. We are not prepared. So therefore, it is important to look at the scientific aspect of what we are trying to face. We are facing a serious danger from Benue down to Bauchi to Taraba and 10 other states. And then as time goes on, while the river is going, you will see Akwa Ibom, you will see rivers, all those littoral states, that periphery, the Atlantic Ocean, they will be engulfed, massively implode. So it is important that we start thinking of what do we do if tomorrow comes and there are floods in almost every part of this country. And I'm very positive the nation has required manpower, scientific know-how to be able to come together and say, let's try to bring about a Marshall Plan so that when this thing comes, we shouldn't be talking about specific. We should be talking about the generality of Nigerians because no matter what you say, this flood will come and ravage this country. And I so support this motion. NEMA should be asked to move. They have been around periphery within the center of the nation. But the peripheral states that borders other countries, they are no longer there, particularly Adamawa, part of Benue, and some Katsina areas. So NEMA should look at this country and look at this country as its own constituency and not be able to just settle in some other areas. You've seen the ravaging flooding in Borno, Maiduguri. Sir, these are signals. These are signals. So we must be able as a people, as a country, to start thinking of tomorrow. I thank you very much for that for the opportunity.
Thank you. I think what distinguished Senator Nengi has submitted actually caps it. That we should begin to be proactive in planning for the next set of floods. And we should not continue to be reactive. And in fact, by the time the water drains from the northern part of the country, it will settle in the south. And together with the release of water from the Cameroon dams, we expect flooding in the entirety of the Niger Delta, displacing people. So it's important that the country comes out with a Marshall Plan to cater for this yearly flooding. So I want to thank the Senator Johanna Emmons for bringing this motion, and I assure you that Committee on Legislative Compliance will meet with NEMA and proceed to ensure that all the resolutions that will be arrived at by this August Assembly are implemented. So we go straight into the prayers. Prayer 1, direct the National Emergency Management Agency to, as a matter of urgency, reach out to the affected communities and provide relief materials to the victims. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, direct the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency to intervene in the rehabilitation of Shwawa Jigalambu and Baladega Bridge. Very direct. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Someone is hereby directed accordingly. Prayer 3, mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure that NEMA FEMA carry out the Senate's resolutions of today. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. I don't think additional prayer from distinguished Senator Binus Yaro, and after that, the whip of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Binos Yaro. I want to move an additional prayer as follows. Call on Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, to direct the relevant federal ministries to make adequate provision in the Appropriation Bill 2025 for the dredging of rivers Niger and Benue.
Any seconder? Senator Zam.
Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Dr. Titus Zam, I rise to support the amendment to the effect that River Niger and Benue be dredged and be done immediately. I so second. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, an additional prayer has been proposed that as part of the preventive measures to flooding, the River Niger and Benue should be dredged immediately, and that adequate provision should be made in the 2025 budget appropriation of the federal government to cater for this. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The whip.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. My name is Humanitarian Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Well, this motion is in pari materia with the motion earlier sponsored by Dilana Tsil. And in the course of my submission in that motion, I made mention of commendation to Mr. President for the establishment of disaster relief fund to take care of such situations. So I think the additional prayer that I want to move is to commend Mr. President for the establishment of disaster relief fund to take care of such situations. At the risk of sounding, what can I say?
Yes. The thing Senator Ojus Okalo, he has moved for additional prayer that we should commend Mr. President for setting up the disaster relief fund to cater for victims of these natural disasters. Do you support the? You may wish to support the motion.
Mr. President, you are taking me by surprise, but I wish to support for the motion heavily moved that River Benue and Niger should be. We'll commend the President for taking up the disaster fund so soon. So I support the Chief Whip for moving the motion, and I think more things should be done because, as Senator Ningi said, I'm afraid what is going to happen in the next 5 years, because climate change is real, and when it's real, people are going to get into all kinds of things, including flooding and all the rest of them. We have not seen. We should just pray. You know, from here to Brazil, people used to go by road, but today you have to cross the Atlantic. So we don't know what is going to happen to us. So we have to make adequate arrangement, Mr. President. Thank you for the time.
Distinguished colleagues, an additional prayer has been moved by the whip of the Senate and seconded by distinguished Senator Ojus Okalo that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu be commended for his proactive steps of setting up the disaster relief management fund to cater for circumstances of unforeseen natural disasters. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So I had, and I still commend distinguished Senator Amos Johanna of Adamawa North for bringing this motion to the fore. And I thank my distinguished colleagues for all their contributions. And then I'm hopeful that our Committee on Legislative Compliance will ensure that NEMA, FEMA, and relevant agencies of government rise to the occasion to ameliorate the sufferings of the people. And our heart goes out in sympathy to families that have been displaced and are affected. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, the last order of the day and the sixth order is motion standing in the name of Senator Annie Anthony Okori on urgent need to address the challenges of increasing cases of brain drain in our Nigerian university system. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Annie Anthony Okori to move the motion.
Dismissed Senator Annie Okori.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Professor Anthony Ane. I represent Ebonyi South. The motion before me is urgent need to address the challenges of increasing cases of brain drain in the Nigerian university system. The Senate notes that brain drain, which is referred to as a large-scale movement or migration of top power from developing nations to more developed countries, whereby qualified and skilled manpower of such countries contribute to the socio-economic development of those countries, thus creating economic gaps in their respective countries. Also notes that over the years, there has been a significant outflow of highly educated professionals in Nigeria, especially in the academia, in quest of better working conditions, which has exacerbated skill gap in the workforce, capable of hindering economic growth and development of the country. Further notes from the National University Commission report that many Nigerian universities operate with less than 50% of the required academic staff. Aware that the remunerations of Nigerian university lecturers are among the poorest in the world. I repeat that the remunerations of the Nigerian university lecturers are among the poorest in the world, as it was last reviewed over 15 years ago. And this cannot meet the current economic realities of the country. Also aware that many universities in other West African countries have better working conditions than what is obtainable in the Nigerian university system. And this rather is worrisome. Worried that the continuous loss of experienced departmental faculty members from our ivory towers in other countries is capable of impacting negatively on the quality of education, thereby reducing the effectiveness of teaching and learning and mentorship for students in our higher institutions. Also worried that brain drain has assumed an unprecedented posture in recent times due to the current economic situation of the country. This should be a cause for concern as it threatens the survival of the country's higher education, particularly in the engineering, medicine, and sciences, which are critical for the socio-economic development of this country. Accordingly, resolves to, number one, mandate the Senate Committee on Tertiary Education and TEFON to liaise with the Ministry of Education with a view to working out modalities to check the increasing spate of brain drain in Nigerian universities. Two, urge the Federal Minister of Education to increase budgetary allocation to federal universities in the 2025 budget
so as to take care of the teaching problems of Nigerian universities. As an addendum, is that the salaries and allowances of Nigerian university lecturers should be looked into, as already pointed out. There is an impending strike, and if nothing is done urgently, Mr. President, dear colleagues, the news will be that university lecturers are on strike again. Therefore, I would wish that this should not be a lone voice. My colleagues should add their voices because this is a national challenge. Let's do something reasonable and tangible to save Nigerian universities from total collapse. I so submit, Mr. President.
Senator Ekong Samson.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ekong Samson. I represent Akwa Ibom South. Respectfully, I want to second this motion as framed and canvassed. And if I have the privilege of the leave of the President, maybe I may wish to add a few points. The President, I believe that the Senate, in substance, shares the side of opinion as contained in this motion. In bare terms, the President, my dear colleagues, this motion contemplates the traffic outwards. The traffic outwards, what is fashionably referred to as jagba in our parts. We've grown up to be confronted with that scenario. I don't know how it was framed. Jagba, we never used to hear about it in the past, but it has become a way of life in these parts, where we are losing the best to the outside space, to the outside world. No nation progresses without a firm commitment to education. Here in the Senate, we are all beneficiaries of the opportunities presented by education. And one way that we can create pathways to advancement in this country is for us to encourage the traffic to remain inward. But how do we do that? How do we discourage jagba even in our health care system? Because Nigeria is losing a lot due to the traffic outwards in our health sector. One way that this can be done is as framed in the motion is by encouragement, by having the enabling environment, by giving encouragement to our lecturers so that we can have quality in our educational system, so that we can encourage the best among us to remain and develop this country. So I have the persuasion of Okabom South to throw my full weight behind this motion. I think it is quite timely, because as a country, we must explore trajectories where jagba can be discouraged, so that the best can remain with us and help to develop this country. I thank you so much for this opportunity.
I hope that colloquial will not find its way into the dictionary. This is Senator Ashiru.
Your Excellency, I'm the Senate President. I stand to support the motion as moved. But at the same time, sir, I want us to be to add a little bit to uh, balance opinion on the issue of JAPA or brain drain. There are a lot of benefits, and there are so many things that we find it difficult to stop. The world is a global village. We should count ourselves as being lucky for being able to produce graduates and academics that are sought over all the world. Of recent, I was in the United States of America, and I was so happy to meet a lot of our children who are gainfully employed in many areas, especially in academic and medical field. And I'm happy for so many reasons. One aspect of it is that there's a greater inflow of diaspora funds into Nigerian economy. While Nigeria is losing a lot of outflow, there is succor in the fact that much fund is coming in from all our people working gainfully abroad. And we always want to say too that we have a lot of brilliant people. Our university system is churning out so many graduates with first class. There's no way our economic system of today can contain all the graduates who are turning out. So if we have an event or a leverage for them to travel abroad and be gainfully employed, I think we should be very sympathetic to that cause. And equally too, I want to say that as bad as it is, a lot of private universities are coming up, and they are helping the system. So while I support the motion as moved, at the same time, I want us to be very careful, not totally to discourage people from going abroad, but there should be a system of regulating it. As so submit, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Babangida.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, sitting as chair. I'm Senator Babangida Husseini, representing Jigawa Northwest. I think, first of all, I'd like to commend the mover of the motion, Professor Ani, for bringing to the fore this very delicate issue. On the one hand, I quite agree with him the need to stem the issue of brain drain. On the other hand, I also have a feeling that we must also be mindful of the fact that most of the young men and women who have the qualifications, of course, to go abroad and earn a living, I think it's also a good idea, because in the end, whatever they make abroad, if proper arrangement is put in place and properly articulated and formalized, the money coming in will help the economy. But the most important aspect of the motion, which I want to address my mind to, is the issue of our funding of education. I like to quote Nelson Mandela, who said, the most powerful weapon, and I quote, the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world is education. If we don't invest in education, if we don't properly channel and prioritize the demands of a modern economy, and then produce the required manpower to drive it, then we have not started. And I've been to several universities in Nigeria. The current situation is such that critical areas that will produce the required manpower for national development, science, engineering, medicine, are neglected. And you find courses that have very little relevance to the demands of a modern economy are also on the table on jam form, and our students are practically just ending up coming out of the university with qualifications that they cannot get employment. It is a fact that there are jobs in Nigeria, but the skills to get gainfully employed and gainfully engaged in those sectors is not there. The oil and gas is a very good example. Up till today, we have not been able to have up to 100% local content in the oil and gas industry because the skill set is not there. So my take on this, I don't want to preempt the work of the committee as envisaged in the prayer of the mover of the motion. But the fact remains that we have to have a deeper look at the condition of our national universities, especially federal universities. And the way to go about it is adequate funding and proper tracking and monitoring of spending of our national universities. I thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Let me join you to commend distinguished Senator Anthony Ani, that's Ani Okorie, for bringing this motion and to say that even as we are speaking now, there are still some people who are under different guises traveling outside. So the brain drain is a big problem, not just in the educational sector, particularly in the health sector. It's affecting us a lot. The greatest professionals in medicine in the United States of America, from what I read, some people say we have almost 22,000 health workers in the United States of America who are Nigerians, and they are doing extremely well. I've seen that from different reports. And as of today, the country is rather losing the expertise. If they acquired those expertise and returned to Nigeria, it would have been better. But I think also the conditions of service are quite responsible. But I believe people should place love for their country above financial gains. And that is why many of us chose to remain here. So I commend you for this. We will go straight into your prayers. I hope that this will reduce, like he said, like Senator Shu said, it's a two-faced thing. It has its own advantages, it has its own disadvantages. But in the educational sector, the disadvantages are too numerous, because some of the departments do not have even up to 50% staff strength. So what then are you teaching our children? It's like computer, garbage in and garbage out. So, but we will do our best to improve the lot of teachers, professors, and university management, so that it will encourage people to stay back and impact knowledge on our future generation. So thank you for bringing this motion. I thank my colleagues for their contributions. Prayer 1. Mandate the Senate Committee on Tertiary Education and TED Fund to liaise with the Ministry of Education with a view to working out modalities to check the increasing spread of brain drain in the Nigerian universities. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Amendment?
Amendment, sir.
You don't want okay. Yeah, who wants to do the amendment? DSP? Okay.
Mr. President, this is the highest assembly in this country. And whatever I want to pass out as a resolution of the Senate has to be well crafted and well informed. This prayer, if you look at it, is not something that is doable. But let me allow my brother to bring his own amendment. But to me, I would have suggested we remove this prayer, because it's something that is very, very wide. Talk about the economic situation, talk about everything. It's not implementable. Now you say a ministry should find out how to stop him from going outside the country.
Yeah, I think we should even call on the Honourable Minister of Education to bring up proposals.
It's beyond that. It has to do with the Minister of Finance, of Economy, coordinator of the economy. It's something to do with the economy of the entire country. Yes. The president is doing very well, setting out the foundation to, create a sound economy in this country that will not allow someone even to go out.
Yes.
What he's doing now, giving him some time, we'll have a situation that when you say so, go to Ghana or go to US, you say, no, I prefer to stay here because the economy will be fine. Now, telling the Minister of Education to create a means of allowing people, stopping from going outside, I think it's something that they cannot do. It's undoable. So I think we should take out this prayer. The second prayer is fine. But if you have something better, I will allow you to bring your own
Sir,
amendment.
Sir, do you want to amend the prayer?
Yes, Mr. President, following the suggestion from the Deputy Senate President, which is one part of the amendment I wanted to suggest, the second part of the amendment is that the prayer is limited in terms of referring only to Nigerian universities. There's also brain drain in polytechnic. There's some also research institutions that are not necessarily university. They're also experiencing uh, brain drain. So
But let's finish with the university first. Because the motion is actually on the universities.
Yeah.
And if you notice during the contributions, people also pointed out that this syndrome is also affecting the health institutions. And so it's a general thing. But this one is specific. The motion is specific. Here is a former lecturer.
Mr.
And
President,
he's
the challenge
looking
is that
at what is affecting the university system. And that if you look at the body of the motion, he said that some departments do not have up to 50% in terms of staff strength. And that will affect the output. It will affect the output. In other words, some of the graduates could maybe have baked as a result of lack of lecturers, and that he wants something urgently done to ensure that most of the professors and specialized teachers do not leave the university system. So
I understand, Mr. President.
you can bring up what you have as an additional prayer.
The only challenge, Mr. President, and I just give me 1 minute to conclude. If you limit it to universities, the challenge with that is that if you take cannot Polytechnic as an example, it's a polytechnic but it runs degree programs because they are actually affiliated to the universities. So if you limit this focus only on the universities, invariably the polytechnic that are associated with those universities will also be impacted. I'm just thinking that maybe we should just say tertiary education rather than just say universities. There are a number of colleges of education that run degree programs. They draw their manpower from the university that they are associated with. So it may be difficult to just isolate the university and suggest that we should rather make it tertiary education so that it can be broad enough. So when we are discussing this.
So what do you do? Because we are finished with the debate. What you do is to craft the amendment.
Okay. Mandate. May I make a suggestion, Mr. President?
Proceed.
Okay. Accordingly resolve to mandate the relevant committees, including committees on education, finance, and health, to liaise with the relevant ministries with a view to working out modality to check the increasing speed of brain drain in our tertiary education system.
Yes, that's fantastic. Senator Dr. Kyla.
Mr. President.
And please, the clerk, give him a paper, let him write it out for you so that people can capture the way he said.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my own is not amendment.
I thought you were going to second the amendment.
No, I'm not seconding it.
Okay, so Senator Karimi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Karimi Sunday Steve. I represent the people of Kogi West. I hereby second the amendment as moved by my colleague.
Distinguished colleagues, the prayer 1 has been amended to say that we should mandate the relevant committees of the Senate to liaise with the Honorable Minister of Finance, the Minister of Education, and other relevant ministries to immediately take steps to work out modalities to check the increasing speed of brain drain in our tertiary institutions. Those in support of this prayer as amended say aye. Those against say nay. Did I get it? Yes, please. Did I get it right? Huh? It's not doable. Okay. Okay, so those in support of this undoable pray. Say aye. And those against say nay.
Nay. Nay.
The ayes have it. Now, Senator, let's take the second one before we come to Kyla. Urge the Federal Ministry of Education to increase budgetary allocation to federal universities in the 2025 budget so as to take care of the teething problems of Nigerian universities. This is another problem. The Federal Ministry of Education will have its envelope. Yeah? So I think, no, we don't just, they will tell you are padding, you are padding the budget for university education.
No.
I think
you have the powers there.
We should urge the federal government of Nigeria.
Mr.
We
President.
should urge the federal government of Nigeria through the Ministry of Education and the national and
President, to ask the president to do this. The powers of the constitution lies on that your seat. So if you do that, you are telling us you are just a rubber stamp legislature. The power lies with you. They propose, and then we endorse.
So amend prayer 2. Senator Nengi, amend prayer 2. Okay, distinguished Senator Dr. Kyla.
Sir, sir, my own is comment. And
no, we have finished with the.
No, I think, sir.
We have finished with the prayer, the comments.
No, it's not comment. Shed more light.
No.
Just give me 1 minute, sir. Because
the
I
rule
strongly support what
the rule of debate is that when we are considering the prayers, you either amend the prayer or you accept the prayer. It's no longer time for comments. But it's okay because, like Senator Ningi observed earlier, we are all still having tutorials.
So the issue of
amendment, we are now on the prayers. So, do you have an amendment to the prayer too? If you don't have, we finish with prayer too. Then we come back to you for you to have additional prayer.
Okay.
That's the way it works. So, amendment to prayer too. This one, is it going to be doable?
It's doable. It's very doable. All the federal government of Nigeria to increase budgetary allocation to federal universities in 2025 budget so as to take care of the teaching problems of Nigerian universities. I so move. When you say federal government, it includes the executive and the legislature all together. Federal government. I so move.
Yeah, the Senator Ningi wants to disagree.
Yeah, I understand where my GST is coming from.
The motion has been moved by the Deputy Senate President.
No, I don't want to go against it, but I don't want to.
Are you seconding the motion?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to go against it either.
Okay, so Senator Ashiru.
Your Excellency, I so support as moved by GSP.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the Deputy Senate President has proposed an amendment to prayer 2 that we should urge the federal government of Nigeria to increase budgetary allocations to the federal universities in the 2025 budget so as to take care of the teething problems of Nigerian universities. And he has also explained that the federal government in this case means the Senate, the National Assembly, and all relevant agencies all together. Those in support of prayer, the amendment of prayer 2, as stated by the Deputy Senate President, that the federal government of Nigeria should increase budgetary allocations to universities to cater for the teaching problems experienced in the universities in order to stop the brain drain that is currently going on. Say aye. Don't again say nay. The ayes have it. So Dr. Kaila, yes, we are now back to you.
It's unfortunate I did not comment initially, but brain drain is purely personal problem and it is economic. And that is why I align with the DSP that we should be careful whatever we will get out of this chamber, because it has nothing to do with Ministry of Education. It has nothing to do with the Ministry of Health. Anybody that wants to go to America, nobody will stop him from going there. Anybody that wants to do brain drain, no law in Nigeria can stop him from doing so.
So what
the only way is the way the President of the Federal Republic started, trying to change the economy, streamline it such that brain drain, people will not even have the reason to go out. I think that is the key. We cannot stop anybody from going out.
What is your additional prayer then?
My additional prayer is well, it is not additional prayer anyway, because I'm just trying to say we should be careful not to get certain things out of this place.
Let me say, Distinguished Senator Kaila.
Yes, sir.
Your comments are noted.
Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Ningi, we also want to note your comments. Yeah, okay now. Okay. So, is there any additional prayer? No. Senator Adi? Comments on what other?
The comment.
No, sorry, Senator. Senator Karimi said comment. I want to know what I want. Other words. Okay, other Kaila. Yeah, rule out of order.
Can I continue?
Senator.
Okay. I want to draw our attention that the main essence of this motion is
No. Yeah. We are finished with the arguments. Please, let's be serious. In the absence of any further additional prayers, let me thank distinguished Senator Anthony Courier, Professor, and distinguished Senator for this motion, and pray that collectively Nigerians will do something about this brain drain. There are so many reasons. Sometimes it could be medical. Some of them it could be even we from various agencies of government sending people abroad to go and study. And because they perform so well, then the countries will offer them mouth-watering contracts that they cannot refuse. And that will now lead to their staying back in those countries. But it is of concern that the spate of brain drain in the university system is so rapid that it is already affecting the strength, the staff strength of various universities. And so we must collectively do something about it as a government, as Senate, as National Assembly, working closely with the executive to make sure that this situation is taken care of. And most of it is actually economic. It's economic. So I believe that once we can improve on the standard and also look at the review of their current emoluments, that these things will be brought to an end. So I thank you for all your contributions. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished senators, having concluded today's proceeding on the other paper, I hereby move that Senate do adjourn till Wednesday, 9th October 2024 at 11 a.m.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the motion that the Senate do adjourn till Wednesday, 9th October at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Distinguished colleagues, before I put the question, I'd like to announce that the ad hoc committee on the turnaround maintenance of Nigerian refineries, which had been moribund for a while now because of the tragedy that befell us with the then chairman, will hold a meeting tomorrow on 9th October 2024 after plenary. This will be the meeting will be chaired by the Senior Senator Kawu Suleiman Abdurrahman, and this will happen immediately after the plenary. I'm sure by tomorrow morning the meeting venue will be announced. Shortly after this, we shall be receiving the ambassador of Korea, South Korea, and his delegation in the Senate President's Conference room. So all senators and leaders are invited to attend. And I think it should have been 2 o'clock, but I think they will understand with us that we have not concluded our plenary. So a motion has been moved and seconded that this Senate stands adjourned to Wednesday, the 9th day of October 2024 at 11 a.m. prompt. Those in support of the motion say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the Senate is hereby adjourned. Well done.